I'm going to start us up again since I said I would, and we're already a couple minutes late. If you're standing around the coffee pots, that's a perfectly acceptable place to be. We spent a lot of this morning with the Office of Academic Affairs. The reason there was so much time involved is that we're a university and much of what we do is an academic affair. In fact, sometimes I try to decide what's not. And maybe we should rename the office, and perhaps it should be about, we have student affairs, now student life, you'll hear from them later. Maybe it should be faculty affairs. And then I thought maybe that's a bad idea in terms of PR at least. So academic affairs it is. The rest of this morning you're going to hear from an appreciable additional segment of that administrative org chart that you have in your packet. And we'll conclude that tomorrow as well. First up, we've heard some mention of various organized groups on campus, the faculty, the graduate students, and so on. We're going to have a session here going to be led by Bill Brady, whose title is listed incorrectly in your program because, as is customary around here these days, things change. Bill is now the Senior Director of Labor and Employee Relations. And Bill, please.
Thank you, Ken, for pointing out that I screwed up our agenda. Yes, I was actually hired. I am also new to the University of Oregon. I was hired in June to take on the role of Director of Faculty Labor Relations. Just several weeks later, the university determined that my learning curve was complete. I had figured it all out, and we reorganized my position down to human resources, where I will be leading a team of individuals handling labor and employee relations for the entire campus. So my team, which is yet to be formed, will be essentially the university's voice at the bargaining table with our labor organizations. Will also be the university's voice in handling arbitrations and grievance matters as they come up. We have a very strong relationship with our labor organizations, as well as the different organizations that represent employees on this campus. We're going to hear from 3 of our labor organizations today, and then tomorrow on the agenda, you will hear from Terry Rowe, who is the president of the Officers of Administration Council, which, as a non-represented group, it is a council that is formed to address the concerns of our Officers of Administration. My office is a resource when you have questions about employee matters and the contracts. Many of you out here are going to be supervisors. And you might be supervising other OAs, you might be supervising faculty, or you may be supervising graduate students. I'm a great resource for how do we handle that as supervisors, and how do we interpret the contract, and how do we figure things out. That's my role. I'm also a really good traffic cop, and I can point you in different directions when I don't know the answer. Our graduate school has a depth of understanding of our GTF contract. Academic Affairs works primarily with our United Academics, our faculty contract, but to the extent that I don't know, I collaborate with lots of people who might know a little bit more than me because I've only been here a few weeks. But nonetheless, I am a great place to start that process of learning more. I encourage you to engage your supervisors and your colleagues to kind of work together to solve employee problems. And to the extent that those of you in the room are represented, if you are faculty, you are likely represented by United Academics. I would encourage you, when you have questions about your own employment, not only engage your supervisors, but engage your collective bargaining representatives. Find your stewards, engage the officers. We work very closely with them to make sure that we have few problems on this campus. I think that we have a very positive relationship with all of our groups. I'd like to introduce Deb Olson and Gina Saki from the United Academics. They're here to welcome you on behalf of our faculty union.
Our union president, Michael Dreiling, was going to be here to welcome you. He is ill, and it takes, everyone knows, 2 people to replace Michael Dreiling. He is big. My name is Gina Saki. I'm the Vice President for Tenure Track Affairs. Our faculty union is a new reality on our campus, but I've been here since Noah's Ark. This is my 26th year at the U of O, and we want to welcome the new faculty and OAs. Our bargaining unit is unusual in higher education in that we incorporate in one union, the faculty, the tenure track faculty, the non-tenure track faculty, and the officers of research. There are over 1,800 of us in the bargaining unit. We didn't form a union because we wanted a union. We wanted to support faculty, and that's what we're here to offer you today. We believe that a well-supported faculty is the surest route to academic distinction, and we emphasize in our bargaining transparency, equity, faculty voice, and stability long-term. We have, as Bill said, and he wasn't making it up, an excellent relationship with our central administration and with academic affairs, whom we value immensely. So let me just hand the microphone to Dreiling. I was Michael. Deb Olson.
Hi, and I also want to extend my greetings to you as new folks, to Eugene. I'm the Executive Vice President of the Union, a non-tenure track faculty member in special education. I've also been here for 26 years. I just want to say 2 words about our contract that we negotiated and signed off on with Academic Affairs just about a year ago. For all faculty members, there were quite a lot of benefits. We were starting from scratch, so it's a huge contract, but faculty saw their first salary increases since 2008. Salary increases included merit and equity, which we think are very important to the mission of excellence at our university. And for the first time, paid maternity leave. For tenure track faculty, we negotiated better sabbatical pay, clear tenure and promotion guidelines, review at post-tenure reviews that are connected to salary increases. For non-tenure track, we were particularly focused on the issue of stability. So non-tenure track faculty can see multi-year contracts after a certain amount of time. Salary floors, we reclassified more than 300 adjuncts into a career instructor position. So those are some of the things that we worked on to sort of enhance our goals of excellence, stability, faculty voice. Haven't even begun to mention academic freedom. But I want to invite you all to the luncheon tomorrow. I think it's at 12:30 in this room. United Academics is hosting it for faculty. And we'll be there to listen to some of your questions about being a new faculty member. We're not going to give a lot of presentations or speeches. We're there to answer questions and to listen to some of your concerns. So we hope you will come tomorrow. I know it's an optional day for some of you, but you won't be talked at all day long. So thank you so much for this brief amount of time, and I'll turn it over to my colleague and former doctoral student, Carla McNally, who I think Bill is going to introduce as the union president for SEIU.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to speak with all of you. Welcome, faculty and officers of administration, to the University of Oregon. I'm Carla McNally. I've been working at the university as a classified staff person since 1996. I'm grateful to the institution for the staff rates because it allowed me to continue my education, and as Deb mentioned, she was on my doctoral committee. I'm currently working as the operations coordinator for the School of Journalism and Communication. So I'd like to put a shout out to all the SOJC people. Classified staff, there are 1,600 of us on campus. The United Academics just talked about 1,800. We're 1,600. The types of jobs that we do on campus: we take care of the grounds, we work in the residence halls, in food service, we're administrative support, we're nurses, researchers, your IT folks, and even the folks that are serving you today through UO Catering. I know you're getting a lot of information today, so I want to keep it really brief. My best advice to all of you who are supervising classified staff on campus, and some of you will be, read our contract, take the courses in how to be a good supervisor and how to be a good manager. That's really important to us. So I'll say it again. If you're going to be supervising classified staff, please read our contract. Please take all the courses you can about being a good supervisor or a manager to our constituents. And above all, my second bit of advice, just be nice to us. Treat us well. We really appreciate that. We do a lot of hard work, and people like myself who've been here a long time, and I'm not alone. I'm not an anomaly of people here on campus in classified staff ranking. We are committed to the institution. We are here for students. We are here to support you in your work that makes this a good institution. So please, be nice to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Carla. Now I'd like to introduce Jonathan Turbin, who's with the GTFF.
Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to address you all. My name is Jonathan Turbin, and I am the Vice President of Organizing for the Graduate Teaching Fellows Federation. I am here to speak to you about some of the work we do, as well as how we can work with you to improve the quality of graduate education. I first want to extend apologies for our president, Joe Henry, who was unable to be here today and asked me to speak on his behalf. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the GTFF, we have been around for over 30 years and represent around 1,500 graduate teaching fellows and research assistants. We have consistently had between 70 and 80% full membership throughout the past few decades, as GTFs are proud to take part in their union. During that time, the GTFF has worked to ensure many benefits and protections for our members, including health insurance, tuition waivers, caps on fees, and much more. Some of the things we have secured, which have an impact on our working relationships with faculty, are no SEVIS fees, access to kitchens so basic needs can be met, and workload allocation sheets to ensure clear allocation of time and duties. These three things in particular will help the GTFF and faculty relationship remain efficient and productive. As I mentioned earlier, my name is Jonathan Turbin, and I'm a fourth-year PhD candidate in anthropology. I advanced to candidacy this summer after passing my final comprehensive exam. My GTF appointment is a primary factor in my rapid advancement, as I was able to focus on my work without having to worry about how to pay my tuition or what to do if I get sick. None of that would have been possible without the GTFF. The GTFF has also taken steps to ensure that graduate students such as myself have a viable balance between teaching and research. A major tool for helping maintain this balance is the GDRS, or General Duties and Responsibilities Statement, as outlined by the collective bargaining agreement between the university and the GTFF. Each department should have its own GDRS, which outlines how GTF appointments and reappointments are made, evaluations are performed, etc. While it's not a full job description, it does go a long way towards simplifying things. As mentioned earlier, the GTFF has reached tentative agreement with the university on such things as SEVIS fees and workload allocation sheets. When it comes to our contract, we are presently working with an expired contract. That contract therefore remains in effect until the GTFF and university can agree on a new contract. Once again, thank you for your time, and I will be hovering around until the end of the comments. I'm happy to take questions after this section. Oops.
All right, my thanks to all of you for being here again. We're now going to start a romp through the org chart, so hold on to your seats. I will first introduce the Office of University Advancement. Vice President for University Advancement, Mike Andreasen, unfortunately cannot be here this morning. Mike would have you getting out your checkbooks and emptying your pockets within 3 minutes. Fortunately, we'll be hearing from athletics a little bit later, and I'll draw an analogy in that we recognize the depth we have in our teams. We have depth in a university advancement as well. And so to represent that office, we have Paul Elstone, the Associate Vice President for Development. Paul.
Thank you, Ken. Good morning, everybody. Mike sends his apologies. He's out on the road meeting with donors, so I guess that's a good thing. But happy to be with you this morning. So University Advancement is a large group of people. Our job is to create awareness and generate support for the university's academic, research, and public outreach missions. So basically, we're out there telling people the great things that you are doing here. And so it's a lot of fun doing that because there's a lot of great things going on here. There are really 5 divisions in University Advancement: Fundraising or Development Office, the University of Oregon Alumni Association, Government and Community Relations, Marketing, Communications, and Brand Management, and then the Jordan Schnitzer Museum of Art, which is jointly managed by Advancement and the Provost's Office. So a little bit more detail about each of those 5 areas. So fundraising, development, we are very generous. We are very lucky at the university. We have a lot of very generous alumni and donors that support the university. So for the past 7 years, we've raised over $100 million every year. $115 million last year from alumni, corporations, foundations, friends of the university. So it's really great. People give $5 a year, millions of dollars a year. Every gift we get is really very much appreciated. What we're raising money for, so the priorities are set by the university leaders. So president, provost, deans, vice presidents, they set the priorities for the university, and we try and engage people to talk about those priorities and raise money for them. We're on the final planning stages right now of a new fundraising campaign for the university. So leadership has been setting those priorities, and pretty soon we'll be rolling those out and talking more about very exciting things we want to raise money for to help the university go forward. Most of our fundraisers are actually based in the schools and colleges and the academic units around the campus. So if you're based in certain schools and colleges, you will have somebody in your area that's working in development. Many others are based in this building, in central development as well, and so we work very closely together to coordinate what we're doing with all of our donors. We have a central database that we use to keep track of and coordinate all the activity that's going on with all of our donors. And so we work very closely to make sure that's all coordinated up. So if any of you have any questions about fundraising, donors, or anything like that, there should be somebody in your school college unit that's working in development, so feel free to contact them. If you can't find out who that is, then feel free to contact me, and we can answer your questions and get you going in the right direction. Second area of advancement is the Alumni Association. So they're based down here on the first floor in this building. Obviously, their job is to connect with all of our alumni all over the world. We have about 25,000 members of the Alumni Association, students, alumni, parents, faculty, staff. Anybody can be a member of the Alumni Association. They do a lot of great events all around the country, all around the world. They have a lot of chapters connecting alumni back to the university. And we're doing a lot of new programs, for example, the new Duck Career Network, which is an attempt to really get ducks, hiring ducks, and really building up the career network for our alumni as they come out of the university. The third area is marketing, brand management, communications. So as you're probably aware, the brand, the awareness of the University of Oregon is at record levels. Walk around any airport in the country, around the world, and someone's probably going to say "Go Ducks" at some point. It's really a fun experience. Much of that is down to the success of our student athletes, and you're going to hear from Rob Mullins in a minute about that. And so what athletics has done to support that has been really great. What we're trying to do now is figure out how we build on that and really tell people about the great academic things that are going on at the university as well, because there are many of those things as well. So there'll be a new brand management campaign coming up soon in conjunction with the fundraising campaign. We're very excited about that. The fourth area is government and community relations. So the university has a very large economic impact on the local community, billions of dollars, big part of the local economy. So it's very important. But we also want to be a very good neighbor to all of our partners who live close to campus. Many things in the world come down to parking. And so we want to make sure that people are happy about parking and all kinds of other things. So we have a team that focuses on local relations with the cities of Eugene and Springfield, make sure everybody's working together and doing good things. We have a team that works with the state government in Salem, so the legislature and the governor's office and working on all that stuff. And then we have a team of people working on federal relations to advocate for the university in research grants and policy advocacy for higher education and all that kind of stuff. So that they're part of advancement as well. And then the final piece is the Jordan Schnitzer Museum of Art. So a great museum. As Jill Haas likes to say, great universities have great museums, and so we do have one, and it's great. And so a real focus on Asian arts and Pacific Northwest arts. And so if you're walking around campus and you haven't been in there, I encourage you to go take a look, grab a cup of coffee. It's a great place to kind of catch a break on the campus. A quick word about the U of O Foundation. So the U of O Foundation is also based in this building on the 4th floor. The U of O Foundation is a private, separate 501c3 non-profit organization. All the gifts that the university receives go to the foundation, and the foundation manages the endowment for the university. But all of us in advancement do not work for the U of O Foundation, we work for the university. We work very closely with them. So if you're thinking about fundraising and developments, there is a close collaboration there. But probably the first place to contact is someone in advancement or development if there are any of those issues or questions that you have. So in summary, I'd say that, as I said, our job is to be out there. I want to thank you for all that you're doing, and welcome to the university. It's a great place. We're very excited about it. It's a great moment for the university. So a new board with great students, with great awareness about the university, great plan that I'm sure you heard about from the provost this morning to take this university forward. So all of us in advancement are very excited about talking to lots of people about that. Any questions? I'm available. Thank you very much.
I was flying from Johannesburg to New York City with my Oregon polo shirt on and heard Go Ducks several times. I have pictures of teachers in rural eastern Thailand sitting around on the floor. I might have been sitting with them with local beverages in the center, and they're all wearing Oregon swag. I'm introducing next Rob Mullins, who's the director for intercollegiate athletics. Rob.
Thanks, Ken. Good morning. As Ken mentioned, I'm Rob Mullins. I'm the Director of Athletics. I've been here 4 years and wasn't from Oregon, so I'm not too far removed from the transition that those of you are experiencing coming to our community. And it truly is a wonderful, wonderful community, and I think you'll learn that in short order. But on behalf of the 500 student athletes and 200 staff who proudly represent the University of Oregon Athletics, I would like to welcome you to the Ducks family. It is a great time to be a Duck, and hopefully you've heard from so many before me that have already relayed that message. You will find the University of Oregon is an outstanding workplace, and you'll be surrounded by a team of people who are here to assist you and who really appreciate the role of serving our students. And as Paul just mentioned, you're jumping on board at a truly unique time. It's a transformative time at the University of Oregon, and the upward trajectory is something that's really to be excited about. Our future is very bright, not only on campus, but in our community, and the quality of life here is very, very high. So great choice to come work at the University of Oregon. A quick background on athletics. Obviously, we're a very visible department within the university, and we also have the opportunity to serve as an ambassador by introducing so many or connecting so many to the University of Oregon, whether that's in person at events or whether that's through nationally televised events. As you heard here just recently, the O and Go Ducks are seen and heard internationally. It's so fun in my role. I get to hear all those wonderful stories about folks that are displaced from their home or from their university, but they get the opportunity to stay connected through gatherings around athletic events. And I have had the chance to travel internationally, whether it be in Europe or in Asia, and almost anywhere you go, on the street in a morning run in Hong Kong with something Oregon on, somebody will stop you to talk about an experience they had here, and it doesn't necessarily have to be through athletics, but the place, you grow fond of the place quickly. So obviously, we have a lot of external connections, and internally, we also collaborate with a number of units and colleges in a whole variety of ways, whether it's serving on committees, fundraising partnerships, research, education, student life. We connect with so many units, so hopefully we'll get the opportunity to work with you in your new role at the university. Our student athletes are a very diverse group of passionate students who are often recognized for their achievements in their respective sports, but they also take great pride in their academic success and their commitment to serving our community. Last year, 80% of our teams reached our goal of broad-based excellence and qualified for their respective postseason tournaments, ultimately winning 4 national championships. But more importantly to us and to them, nearly 50% of our student athletes carry a cumulative GPA of 3.0 or higher, And they also completed last year over 4,000 hours of community service. In a community of this size, we have a very visible group, and they are engaged, and they make the decisions on how they engage with service in our community. And for the most part, of that 4,000 hours, the vast majority of it was served supporting underprivileged youth in Eugene and Springfield, and so they're having a large impact in that way. It's also worth noting that last year we had 61 All-Americans, 18 individual national champions, and 3 academic All-Americans, the highest honor you can receive as a student athlete. So all 500 of our student athletes are enjoying an exceptional student athlete experience, and we are making progress on our goal of broad-based competitive excellence. When we sit down with parents and recruit their student athletes, we make a pledge that we care about each and every one of them, whether they're seen on TV every Saturday or whether they're never seen on TV. We want to make sure they have an exceptional experience. UO Athletics sponsors 20 sports with events that serve as a great rallying point for our students, faculty, staff, alumni, and friends. From the nationally known Autzen experience to the uniqueness of a Hayward Field experience to PK Park to Pape Field, I would like to invite you to join that community and experience the passion of Oregon athletics. We absolutely have something for everyone in our 20 sports, and I'd like to close by saying welcome again to the University of Oregon. We look forward to working with you in the athletic department, and as always, go Ducks.
I was talking with Rob earlier this morning about the fact that many of our students and student applicants may hear about us because of the success of our athletic programs. If you ask our students who are here why they're here, fewer than 10% say they came to the U of O because of the quality of our athletic programs. They came for our academics. So that synergy is striking to me. A key player in having students who are interested in coming to the University of Oregon come here or of developing student interest is our Vice President for Enrollment Management, Roger Thompson. Unfortunately, Roger can't be here this morning. Told you Mike would get your checkbooks out. Roger would get you lining your kids up to come to Oregon. Ably replacing him, or supplementing him, is Sue Eveland, close friend. Work with Sue daily. Nobody knows more about the university. She's the university registrar.
Thank you, Ken. Good morning, everyone. Delightful to be here. I bring greetings from Dr. Roger Thompson, your Vice President for Enrollment Management. A few things about enrollment management. Our units are made up of admissions, financial aid, Office of the Registrar, and student orientation. We also have a research arm, a communications group, and a financial group. And our job in enrollment management is to attract, recruit, retain, enroll, graduate our students, turn them into happy alumni, and maybe even donors. And I don't mean donors in the sense of Mike and the checkbook. It can mean a friendly, positive comment in the Safeway store someday. And hopefully some of our alumni do become good donors. I do get to have this opportunity to talk to faculty, new faculty, a little bit about our interaction between the registrar's office and you. And some of this applies to our new OAs as well. Roger thinks that I work for him, but I don't. I work for you. I report to Roger, but I work for the faculty. In my 31 years in higher ed, that's been my philosophy, is that the registrars exist because faculty need us to get students in your classes, give you class lists and photo lists, collect grades for you, and eventually award those degrees to the students who you are teaching while you're here. So I work for you. Call on me anytime. A few online resources that I want you to know about, and you'll hear more about some of these things in more depth tomorrow, I believe. DuckWeb is your portal into the student information system. It's where you will see your class list, a photo list of all your students in your class. You'll do your grading there. You can put your office hours in DuckWeb so your students can see them. There's all kinds of things that you can do in DuckWeb to organize your class. Blackboard is our learning management system, and I believe you'll hear about that tomorrow. The learning management system is not run by the registrar's office, it's run by our library. And the data does come from the registrar's office, and I would just say that even though you have the power to add students to your class in Blackboard, don't do it. Students are supposed to register the normal way, and then I will feed the data to Blackboard. The third web resource is the website, and the registrar's website is my favorite homepage, and it could be yours. A couple things about that. We have an A to Z index. The university's webpage has an A to Z index. It is a departmental index. The registrar's A to Z index is topical. So look under F for final exams, or look under G for grading or incompletes. So if you need to find out something about how something works, check our A to Z index and you might find it there. And one thing I would like you to read is the grading rubric here at U of O. Some of you have taught other places. We have a real unusual grade of Y, and Y does not mean yes. It means I never saw you. So take a little look at that grading rubric, and don't grade anybody with a Y unless you haven't seen them. Student records policy and student privacy, you are now all officially school officials, and so we need to protect students' privacy under the FERPA law and the UO student records policy. Our policies might be a little bit different than the schools that you taught at previously, or that you attended, or that your children attend. So take a look at our student records policy on my favorite homepage, the registrar's homepage. There's a privacy link there for you to take a look at. Remember that we do have helicopter parents who hover. We have lawnmower parents who mow you down. And you don't have to talk to parents. You can talk in generalities, but you shouldn't talk about the student information specifically with parents. And my favorite phrase, when in doubt, don't give it out. You can always direct parents, helicopter or mower, to me. Your first line of help in anything academic is, besides classrooms and Ken, because he apparently wants to be the one, you each have a deputy registrar in your departmental offices. So there are partners across campus who are your first line of communication if you have any questions about your classroom, or getting students into your class, waitlisting, that sort of thing. So make sure you use them. I have 3 requests from you as I close up this little session. Please don't teach students who are not registered in your class. We don't allow sitting in, it's policy. Even auditors have to be registered, and we have a policy against classes that overlap. So if you see any free-range chickens in your class, send all free-range chickens to the registrar's office, and we will get the free-range chickens into your flock. Number 2, please read your email from the registrar's office. I will not send jokes. I will not send links to cute puppies, videos. If I email you, or we email you, we need something from you, or a student needs something that you are involved in, and we just don't email you just because we like you. We like you, but we don't email you for that reason. And then thirdly, please submit your grades on time. Faculty do a fabulous, fabulous job. We collect about 100,000 grades each term. We get about 99.8% by the deadline. Keep it up. There's lots of repercussions to students if you do your grading on time: financial aid, prereq checking, veterans benefits, academic standing, graduation. So many things depend on your getting your grades in on time. It's important to our students. I look forward to working with all of you. Please call me. My direct line is in the Find People. I'd be happy to talk to you and help you out at any time. Thanks for your time this morning.
I finally figured it out. Okay. Thank you, Sue. I don't know why I have to tell you this, but I'll mention that I entered by grades once from Yangshuo, a small village up in the mountains of southwestern China, so the system works. It took a while, but it was okay. I think the last time I checked, we're all human beings here in this room, and the people we work with are as well. Sometimes we're not sure about that. Sometimes we have problems with ourselves, sometimes we have problems with those we work with. One of my other roles in academic affairs has been to guide faculty and staff who are having those sorts of problems. Recognizing the nature of human beings, the university this year has created a new position that I think will be very important. I work with this person regularly, and he's Bruce McAllister, the new University Ombuds person. Bruce, please.
Can you all do me a favor? Can you all stand up for a minute? All right, great. Now, stand to the seat. Now, hands over your head, clap your hands. Okay, circle around, stretch left, stretch right. All right, now we're ready. All right, thank you. Thank you. As been mentioned, the Ombuds program is a brand new program, so I'm not here to lay a whole bunch of brochures on you and things like that, but I'll give you a little overview of what the program will look like. Basically, if you don't know where to go for a university issue, or you have a student who doesn't know where to go for a university issue, send them to the Ombuds office. The Ombuds office is a safe, confidential, neutral place to go to sound as a sounding board, to sound off around any issue, to inquire about the resources that might be available for you, to discuss important communications in advance of having those communications, to explore ways to improve relationships with key people that you work with, whether it's faculty, other faculty members, other administrators on campus, or your students. Any issue, any question that comes up is fair game to surface with the Ombuds program and with the Ombudsman. We work to international standards of the International Ombudsman Association, which provide for confidentiality, neutrality, independence, and informality. So I may direct you to more formal resources that involve formally investigating things. I may suggest referrals to you. But the nice thing about the Ombuds office, unlike some of the services on campus, is you never lose control of your options. You are the captain of your ship, the master of your destiny, when you work with the Ombudsman. So while I may suggest certain approaches and resources, the idea is to empower you to make a cogent decision about where you want to go with your concern or issue. And it doesn't really have to be some sort of conflict or some sort of crisis. It can really be something that's proactive and exciting for you. How do we better organize around this project? How do I better build rapport with this person that's important to me? It doesn't have to be conflict-driven. Although if it is conflict-driven, and many of you have worked elsewhere in higher ed and know higher ed, and we are adept at our own little versions of conflict. So we certainly have tools and approaches to provide for you there. The program, as far as the official scoping, is still a bit in flux because the whole world of universities around Title IX and mandatory reporting and these sorts of things are in flux nationally. So we are aggressively working that issue, both from the President's office and also from the University Senate, to bring clarity specific to the University of Oregon so that we'll have very cogent, cutting-edge policies. We hope to be a national leader in the area of Title IX and sexual assault prevention and response. So until that time, Ombuds policies are still kind of backed up around those issues as well. But we do have a website and very easy contact through email at ombuds@uoregon.edu or by phone at 6-6400. So any issue that comes up, I'd welcome you to contact me and I can get you plugged into the right resource, or we can explore what we need to explore. Thank you very much.
Take him up on his offer. Bruce is terrific. Okay. Also terrific is the next speaker that we had hoped to introduce to you today. We're turning now to the Office of Equity and Inclusion. Our Vice President for Equity and Inclusion is Dr. Yvette Alex Asenso. She's remarkable. She's inspirational. And she's called away from campus for the next week or so, so unfortunately we can't introduce her to you now, but please find an opportunity to meet with her. Yvette's absence is your gain in that you get to meet someone else who is also inspirational and you'll enjoy getting to know, Daniel Hosang, who has record for longest set of titles for today, so I wrote them down. He's Associate Vice President for Equity and Inclusion. He is also the Director of the Center on Diversity and Community, CODAC for short, and he is an Associate Professor in the Departments of Ethnic Studies and Political Science. Daniel.
Hi, thanks everyone. I know it has been a full day. Orientation is not meant to be a four-letter word. And I also know how hard academic affairs has worked to kind of put together a program that gets you through what you need to know in time. We're right on schedule. So we appreciate just a few more minutes of your attention, because I think what we're going to talk about is something that will relate directly to your day-to-day work. It's about your professional and ethical obligations and opportunities around equity and inclusion. And I think, and I'll say a little bit about the context of this, you know, higher ed itself, public higher education, really is in some sense in a moment of crisis. We have questions about the way economic inequality, racial discrimination, sexual violence, accessibility, all are shaping institutions like ours. And so I want to just say a little bit about the approach the university takes and how that, I'm hoping, shapes how you think about your day-to-day work. I should also just mention our vice president is away on family leave. She gave a really wonderful talk to the academic leadership of this university last week in this room, and she actually led with the kind of importance of thinking about love within higher education. And but it was an important idea that we kind of bring all of ourselves into our jobs, not just our research, our service, the teaching we do, and to think about ethically how we engage with one another. So I really do hope you get to hear from her. And I'm also going to introduce the amazing staff we have. So a couple of quick words about the approach that this institution takes regarding equity and inclusion. So I think it's kind of safe to say for most of the kind of history of public higher ed, so this university was founded in 1876, there was this idea that we were by our nature just show up a democratizing institution. We just have to come in and we will inherently, by what we do, in some way level the playing field. We are a marketplace of ideas, and we will ensure that things like social and economic and political inequality would be addressed through the work we do every day. Now, the contradictions of that idea here should have been apparent from the start. When this university was founded, it was the only state that had written into its state constitution a racial exclusion law. So in some sense, the demographics that we see around us are not just a kind of funny trait of our community and our world. They're part of our history. Women were not admitted to the university at that time. So those contradictions, it's not like we had a vision and then somehow it fell. They were with us from the start. Certainly, in the last 50 to 60 years, and to our benefit, there was a whole set of people that had another vision of what public higher education was. They thought that it meant recognizing the intellectual capacities and talents of a broad set of people, particularly around exclusions based on race and gender and kind of economic status, and demanded not just inclusion in the university, but actually incorporation into it. And the wonderful kind of benefit of this was we had these great units on campus. So our unit, the Office of Equity and Inclusion, Departments of Ethnic Studies, Women and Gender Studies, Accessibility Services. We have programs for veterans, for first-generation students, for students who are parents. I mean, it's all premised on that idea, right? That we're not inherently equalizing in some sense. We actually have to be deliberate about it. So this was a great thing. But I think there's been a realization, and this is across higher ed in the last 10 to 15 years, that these units are necessary, but they are not sufficient. Because the problem is, if you are not in one of those units, if you're a physicist, if you're working in parking and transportation services, information technology, you may imagine, well, I certainly support the ideas of equity. Personally, I have no intent to discriminate, but we have an office to take care of that. And I can take some reassurance from that. And you can see why this is fraught, right? For any other function at this campus, recycling, public safety, excellence in research and teaching, you can't say, well, I don't need to think too much about my teaching because we have a teaching excellence center, right? That just doesn't work. And we have these amazing, amazing professional staff who quite literally go up and down the state, the country, they go to other countries to try to ensure that the students we bring to campus represent something about the diversity of our world. And we have wonderful academic retention specialists who meet with them in these moments of real kind of tender vulnerability to try to speak very much to this democratization question. Your gifts are welcome here and we need you. But if then they go off and they go to our classrooms and the only position we take is, I have a syllabus here, I'm here to teach you. Go somewhere else. You can see how we're actually undermining our broader effort. So this has, I think, moved us into a third phase, which is the recognition that every one of us has a responsibility towards equity and inclusion, and that doesn't, and I don't want you to think of that in a narrow sense. I actually want you to think about it within your personal and professional fields. So for the mathematicians in the room, for the studio artists, the people in the education researchers, you're experts in your field, and you can think creatively and in a committed way about what barriers, what are the structural barriers within your fields and disciplines, which is a question of equity. And inclusion means, once we've addressed those, how do we create a dynamic where people actually feel present in a big P, right? Like they're there and they're ready to offer themselves. And our office is in no position to say how that works in studio art or in journalism. We partner with you to help you kind of realize those goals. The good news on this is there are just wonderful examples across campus of colleagues who, from small things, thinking about questions of accessibility in their syllabus, in their teaching methods, to colleagues who have thought in particular about when you're teaching about war, how the presence of veterans and people who have served in military combat and the people who are opposed to those wars might be differentially kind of touched, and then how they can be brought in, to pipeline programs, particularly in the natural sciences, trying to open up opportunities. So there's all of these wonderful opportunities for you to be engaged and for you to think about it as it relates to your own work. Okay? The last two things I want to say on this, part of the new collective bargaining agreement actually puts this into practice. So for both non-tenure track faculty and assistant professors starting on the tenure track, part of your evaluation will be, you'll be asked to submit a statement about your contributions toward institutional equity and inclusion. And again, we don't want you to think of it as like, I've got to run over and like go to an ethnic studies, fundraiser or something, that's one part of equity. But, we have colleagues in economics who are, offer all these opportunities for, to teach in a summer pipeline program affecting primarily serving first-generation high school students. All of these, a wonderful landscape of opportunities to plug in on campus, and you're going to be asked to speak to what your contribution is. And just to say, we did this, and the union and academic affairs agreed to it, because if we don't, we reproduce the problem of a small number of people saying, I will help the institution meet its equity obligations, and everyone else saying, thanks for doing that. And that's just not fair. All of us have an opportunity to do this, and it really is about getting to participate in this kind of democratization of higher ed. Okay, so I hope it's both an obligation, but it's also, I think, to the question of like how we live ethically in this university, a wonderful chance to put our talents and gifts into practice, in that way. So could folks come up so I can introduce, or, yeah. So the last thing I want to just say about this, thanks. We have this just really amazing, talented, committed, professional staff that works across a whole range of campus units, and you'll hear about more of them, who really stand ready to help and support you in this work that you're going to do. Sometimes Oregon is regarded as kind of off the map in some way, perhaps, in questions about diversity and inclusion. Our incoming class this year is actually 28% domestic students of color. So our campus is becoming much more diverse every day. International students, students from in-state and from out-of-state. And we have this amazing, amazing staff who's ready to help support you in your efforts to figure out how to work and serve them best. We'll introduce some of them in a moment. I wanted to say that. The last thing I want to mention is I also am here in the capacity as director of the Center on Diversity and Community. And I just encourage you, we have brochures about our office in general and our unit. But for the center, there's 4 opportunities, especially for faculty, that I want to highlight and urge you to pick up. We are starting a faculty writing center, a write-on-site space. It's kind of funny that you would think you could come to a campus and it would be a good place to get writing done. It's often not the case. Personally, my office is the worst place to get writing done. So we'll have set hours every week where faculty can come into a space that's comfortable, quiet, sign up for hours, and work on their writing projects. And we'll also set you up with writing groups. It's done on other campuses. All of the research shows this is the way to stay productive in the face of all these demands you're going to now have for service, for teaching, and other things, to set aside a small amount of time each week so that your writing and research don't get neglected, and we're here to support you with that. Second, we have a faculty fellows program for first-year tenure-related faculty to help you establish your research agenda early on, to get you set up with mentors, and to talk about some of the transition issues that faculty often face. I remember my first year, I was praying I would have 5 minutes to go to the bathroom at some point during the day. I would have to kind of write it down. What I wish I'd had was some place to acknowledge that this transition, it imposes professional challenges, but it also draws on all of you. And so part of this program will help to give people a kind of community to help not just survive it, but really thrive during this period. So go to our website and consider applying. Faculty from all departments are welcome. Third, we have a calendar of faculty development resources. We have internal funding opportunities, teaching support all over campus. You can come to our website and in one site see all of the resources you have. And lastly, we have a membership in something called the National Center for Faculty Development and Diversity. It gives you access to all of these online workshops, resources, writing support, and you can contact us and help activate your membership. Okay? So those 4 things I really want to encourage you to take advantage of for faculty. Okay. I'm going to now introduce, so who we have here are wonderful academic retention specialists from the Center on Multicultural Academic Excellence, the steward of the Longhouse, which is a tremendous resource on campus, not just for Native students, but also that helps facilitate our connection between the 9 federally recognized tribes in the state of Oregon and the institution itself. We also have our support staff that works on finance, communications, the director of the Multicultural Center, which a lot of students find as a kind of home base for their time here, our communication specialists, and our retention specialists. So I'm going to introduce Dr. Jane Arungu. She's the director of the Center on Multicultural Academic Excellence. And just to note that one thing that's really unique about the center is the professionals that work there are not called counselors, they're called retention specialists because they really are focused. It's a big priority for our institution to make sure that we retain and support students, and these are the professionals that do it. So Jane is going to introduce them quickly.
Thank you, Dan. Good morning, good afternoon, I guess. So I'm just going to introduce our staff, and then I'll say a little bit about the center. So we have Chance White Eyes. He's an academic advisor, Native American retention specialist. Christina Jackson, academic advisor, retention programs coordinator. David Taw, academic advisor, Asian and Pacific Islander retention specialist. Rosa Chavez, academic advisor, Latina Chicano retention specialist. Silveria Sierra, academic advisor, retention programs coordinator. Jennifer Barton. Jennifer is our operations manager. She makes sure that the machine is running and it's well oiled. Marco Polo, probably he's still at the office. He's our receptionist and translation clerk. If you want anything translated into Spanish, we can do that for you. We have the MCC, the Multicultural Center, the director, Steve Morozumi. We have Kwang Tro, who is a student board of directors, a pre-med student, senior, making sure that all the students are heard and making sure that we keep everybody on their toes about important issues. And that is the CMAE. So, and everybody else is from other units, and Dan already mentioned that. Thank you so much. So I will go ahead and tell you a little bit about the Center for Multicultural Academic Excellence. We are located in Oregon Hall. We have 2 floors, 164 Oregon Hall next to the Dean of Students. We have a space there. 465 Oregon Hall next to Enrollment Management. We have a space there. Those are spaces where students can come and study. We have computers there. But also those are spaces where students come to receive guidance, to receive coaching. When we talk of multicultural, I don't want anyone to feel like, oh, it's only about academic support. Yes, it is about academic support, but it's also about supporting students to succeed at the University of Oregon. Whether it's academic, whether it's social, whether it's personal, we give that support to the students. If we do not have the answers for the students, we know where to direct the students. And I encourage all new staff, employees, to refer students to these kind of spaces. If you have a student and you notice that they are missing class or there's something that's not right, you don't know what that is, there are people who work at the back end of your work, and that is us. That is where we are retention specialists. We are going to find out what's going on. We are going to offer some support to that student, whether it's tutoring support, whether it's counseling. We can refer them to the counseling center. We also do academic planning for them, making sure that they are not going to be here for 10 years, but they are going to be here for 4 years, at most 5. If they are going beyond 5, we want to know what's going on, what's happening. If it's about a financial aid issue, we make sure that they complete their federal applications on time. They know what their academic calendar is. So we do most of the back end. We don't want faculty doing that. Bring those students to us. Refer those students to us. Tell us what is your office hours. We shall make sure they come to office hours. If they don't, well, leave that to us. So what I'm trying to tell you is whatever you are doing on your syllabus, count on us to make you successful. Count on us to raise the C's to B's by offering you whatever support you need. We also do a lot of mentoring, and Dan mentioned about what are your opportunities to work with us. We have a mentoring program where we encourage faculty, graduate students, staff. It doesn't matter what work you do on campus. If you're a staff member or faculty member, you want to engage in mentoring students, give us a call. And Christina is here and she runs the program. We are looking for faculty mentors. That is part of your service, and I'm glad it's written in the CBA this time. So if you're looking for something really exciting to put on your portfolio, that would be one of it. We also encourage you to come to our welcome events, and we are going to be sending you requests to come so that you can meet with our students, interact with our students, and be a supportive system to them. So what I'm saying is our unit supports your work, you support us, and we shall make these students successful. We deal with a lot of underrepresented, underserved populations, first-generation students. Ethnic minorities. We have about 5,000 of those students on campus, but we are open to serving all students, international students, majority students, so we are always open. I would like you to come visit us. Oregon Hall is just across the street. Coffee is always ready for you there. Whatever you need. If you have a graduate student who is trying to figure out what are some of the supportive systems, send them to us. If you have a student who is looking for graduate school opportunities, internships, whatever it is, academic advising, all that stuff we do. So thank you very much, and I look forward to meeting all of you, connecting with all of you, and for you becoming a mentor to our students. Thank you so much.
Thanks very much, Jane. And then last, I want to introduce Elaine Acasio. Elaine is the Director of Community Engagement in our office. We're a public university, a public institution. The people of Oregon have invested in our place. They could do more, but they have for 100 and some years. And that also presents us a special opportunity and obligation to think about how we're engaging externally. And Elaine manages a broad portfolio of pipeline programs, community engagement programs that can help facilitate faculty access to those. So Elaine's going to describe those now.
As the person standing here between you and lunch, I'm going to make this very, very brief. As Dan mentioned, my position really is a broker of sorts, of making connections from the needs to the resources to the ideas. And so my relationship with faculty and then to the rest of campus, I think is very important in that all of you being new here, we're trying to debunk this idea that the university works in silos, not just on the external end, but also internally. And so through my portfolio, it's really trying to connect a lot of these great ideas and maybe even, rather than reinventing a really good idea, connecting you to a resource that's already ongoing here, so it's less work and our capacity building is just that much more effective. Specifically, I do want to highlight 2 upcoming events coming out through the Division of Equity and Inclusion, and that is our Elder in Residence program. The president of PICUN, Ramon Ramirez, will be coming here, and that stands for Pineros y Campesinos Unidos del Noroeste. Again, short PICUN. In English, that is the Northwest Tree Planters Farm Workers United. And this is really a great opportunity. We invite elders from the state of Oregon to come to campus for 2 days. And really, it just kind of stretches the imagination of ways of learning, ways of teaching, and an opportunity for you, if the speaker kind of dovetails with whatever course you're teaching, to invite this individual into your class. And so we usually host the Elder in Residence during fall term, and then we also have an iteration of that called Traditional Scholars, Tribal Elder in Residence, usually in the winter term, and that is for our tribal elders to come to campus. And really, this is a retention piece, talking about how we can connect these field experts into our classroom and use them as a resource for our students, our staff, and our faculty. Lastly, Dan also talked about the pipeline programs. A lot of these either come through our office or we support it in some capacity. And so if you are looking for opportunities to connect with various populations within K through 12, either in mentorship or through these summer bridge programs, please connect with us in our office and we will definitely put you to work. But definitely please, we have our brochures outside and I think our table is still out there. Please pick up information on that because there's a wide array of services that comes out of OEI. And really the idea is that we're all part of, it's a small office considering all the work that happens, but it's only possible because we have the support of the rest of the university. Thanks.
Okay, thanks so much. We really appreciate this. And the last thing is on October 15th, there is an event, campus-wide event from 12 to 4 that specifically, it's called Advancing Equity and Inclusion at the UO, but it's particularly to help new faculty engage with opportunities towards equity and inclusion. So you'll hear about pipeline programs, there's workshops on implicit bias, workshops. We have a tremendous project that's coming, it's going to be launched next week, a 9 flagpoles project, each flag signifying the federally recognized, the 9 different federally recognized tribes in Oregon. You can learn more about that. And even coming to it is something you can put in your statements, in your tenure and promotion statements as you're getting them ready. So, and then we'll have a community forum with the president and the provost about the kind of state of equity and inclusion at the university. So that's October 15th, 12 to 4 in the EMU. And thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Elaine wasn't standing between you and lunch, I am. So she could have taken longer. That concludes our our morning's activities. Before you go, I want to just make a few comments about what's to come. Tomorrow morning, we'll convene the same time, same place, same rough format. Tomorrow evening, starting at 5 p.m., is the barbecue, again at the Pioneer Mother Lawn, and it will stop raining before then. I'll arrange that somehow. What else do I want to tell you? Oh, if you are unable to attend tomorrow, either the morning session or the barbecue or both, we are making arrangements. We will be recording the sessions. Actually, we're recording today's as well. Those videos will be available on the Academic Affairs website. But if you're unable to attend, please let us know, because we will try to make alternative arrangements that don't replace a barbecue in the rain, but we'll do what we can. Okay. Last thing I want to tell you today is that, again, for the tenure-related faculty, Jack Liu is set up. I see him outside the windows here now, and he'll be taking your photographs for convocation. Why not the non-tenure track faculty? I think that's a fair question, and I think the answer is probably numbers and logistics. And if we presented the names of all our new faculty at convocation, I think our parents and students might, in the end, decide that it was going on way too long. We have a lot of new faculty. We should talk about that. But for today, it's the tenure-related faculty that Jack will take photos. So thank you all for your patience, for your participation, and I look forward to seeing many of you tomorrow morning.